Let's speak to Omar Imady from the Centre for Syrian Studies at the University of St Andrews here in the UK, and he joins me here in the studio now. Let's talk about the safety of the evacuees, because Russia has said that no harm will come to them, but many of them will be fearing reprisals by the Syrian regime.
Right. Well, there really is absolutely no way anyone can guarantee their safety at this point, what you hear is meant for diplomatic consumption, so to speak. This is exactly what the political process we were advocating all these years was trying to avoid. Because when you pursue a military option, this is the type of situation you could easily end up with. And then we've seen the humanitarian tragedy unfold just day after day.
It's interesting that none of the parties involved seem to fear any kind of international scrutiny, any kind of investigation into possible war crimes.
Yes, well, yes, because in a sense, we've taught them this. I mean, the West, there is, of course, condemnation, but there's at the same time indifference almost, that this can go on, that we will complain about it, we will condemn it, but effectively, nothing will be done to stop it, neither diplomatically nor otherwise.
Okay, so we know that a lot of these evacuees, civilians and fighters, are probably going to end up in Idlib,
yes,
which is an area that's controlled by groups that the regime considers terrorists. Presumably, at some point, the regime's going to attack those areas as well.
Yes. Well, this is the danger of this precedent, because in essence, the voices advocating a military resolution to this conflict have now triumphed. And of course, Idlib is next. And if you could see this humanitarian tragedy on the level of Aleppo, you could just imagine, magnify it times 10 on the level of the governorate of Idlib. So it just, it's really a tragic situation. And it all goes back to the fact that we had one camp that had clarity of objective and a willingness to translate this into action. That is, the Assad regime and its allies. And on the other hand, we had others who had clarity in terms of what they wanted to take place, but were not willing to actually put in whatever it took to translate this into reality.
So is there still a place for political negotiations? We've seen various leaders come together recently to talk about a possible political solution in Syria, but it just does seem as though the regime in Russia hold all the cards.
Yes, well, yeah, that's part of what makes this diplomatic process so difficult. And I think, diplomacy is the art of reaching, the possible. And I think one of the thin elements, so to speak, that was missing is that the West was never really willing. If you want to pursue a diplomatic path, if this is your decision, then you must be truly willing to strike a deal, so to speak. But that was not in the cards.
At this moment, it looks as though, whatever anybody talks about, there doesn't seem to be any way that President
this
Assad
moment
is
has
going
ended.
to say,
Yes.
OK, I will step down, there will be some kind of political process.
No, of course not. Yes, of course. We're way beyond this at this point.
So that's
as you say,
opposition, isn't it? Isn't it all over for them?
Well, all over is a big word, because this was what we see in Syria is not just about rebels fighting. This is one layer of it. So you could eliminate all of those, hypothetically, with a lot of difficulty. But that will still not end the crisis. So there's I think, a lot of layers to this. And I think the most important thing to keep in mind right now is just the humanitarian tragedy unfolding.
Absolutely.
Not just in terms of those killed and wounded, but just also the psychological trauma. Just to think of the generation we're producing as a result of this.
Very thought-provoking stuff. Omar, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Omar Imady there.